Yes.
Okay, here we go. It's the big show for everybody tuning in. Oh my gosh. It's the Geek Show Deep Dive. I'm Lee Cade, and that, wrong once again, is Kerry Jackson.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I thought I was going to have my composure. I thought everything was going to be fine. The best way to put Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 6, episode title is Bounty, is, hey kids, you like Easter eggs?
Here's all of them.
Have all the Easter eggs.
Most of the time, you're happy to get a couple. Maybe. And three is like, what have we done to get so blessed?
I was just excited we were getting Geordi. I was like, this will be cool. So,
but this was like, how many baskets full of eggs?
Yeah. And oh, hey, Kerry, you like spaceships? And
please.
Hey,
I guess it goes without saying that we're going to talk about the episode full of spoilers. So
all the spoilers.
If you haven't watched, go watch it now. Hit pause, go watch it now, and then come back, and we'll talk about this.
And for those of you watching along in chat during our live portion here, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. So this episode's messing with me in a huge way because I don't even know where to start. I mean,
I don't either.
We know the Titan is being chased. They don't know how they're being chased. We know that Jack is overclocked, basically. And if you're not familiar with overclocking technology in computers, you can overclock your graphics card to make it perform faster, but at risk of burning out. So,
okay. Thank you for that. Okay.
The disease, and this is why crypto miners destroyed the microchip market and the graphics card market during the pandemic, because they were bored and they're going out and buying the top of the line graphics cards and then overclocking them to do cryptocurrency mining, and they were like burning those graphics cards out in weeks instead of the years that they're supposed to last.
That makes sense now. That makes total sense now. All right.
So Jack has inherited from Papa Picard the syndrome that we actually had originally revealed to us in the series finale of Next Generation. That was the syndrome that he had even in All Good Things. So it's come back. That's why he has the positronic body, the golem, as Sung puts it.
Mm-hmm. And that's in the early seasons of Picard. That
first season, the latest Sung has built himself a golem that he can transfer his consciousness into. So Picard's flying that around right now. We don't have a spare, so Jack is eventually going to burn out his overclocked brain. But that's why he's putting two and two together with some other things.
Well,
possibly.
and Picard's body, it's not forever. It was made clear that that you're going to age just like you would normally.
We just didn't want you to have this horrible, debilitating syndrome. So
we bought you some extra time, but it's still you're going to die.
Right. So again, Titan's being chased everywhere. They're basically doing what was that Battlestar Galactica episode where they had to jump like every
33.
Yeah.
When people ask me about that Battlestar Galactica, well, I like the original. Sell me on this one. I say, watch one episode, watch this one, and then tell me you're not hooked.
Yep. You have to jump every 33 seconds.
Every 33 minutes. Every 33
minutes, or the Cylons were going to catch you. Well, in this one, the Titan's just being found by. I mean, they've been framed very well by the Changelings for attacking the ship in the previous episode, and for probably the death of Rolaren at that point.
Yes.
And so they're on the run, and Picard goes, I've got this great idea. Go here. And I love that Ensign LaForge is like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, where are they going? What are they doing? This is going to be bad. This is going to be so bad. And no, they're going to the Starfleet Ship Museum.
Yes. And we arrive, and it's this beautiful thing. And all around the museum are these little, like, docks, I guess you'd call them, these rings. Yep. And inside of each one of them is a ship. And I immediately went, Constitution class, original series, I can see that. Oh, look, there's my motion picture Enterprise that I love so much.
Yep. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody who was like, wasn't the Enterprise A blown up in Star Trek 3? No, that was the original Enterprise from the television series after it had its refit. So
after its refit. Which is why is it the New Jersey or what is it that's the Constellation class ship that's there? That's why that's there and not the Enterprise.
Oh my gosh! So beautiful thing. I think we had the captured cloaked Romulan bird of prey from the original series
from Save the Whales, because it says Bounty on the side of it. HMS Bounty.
I'm talking about the
Romulan
you're
talking
bird
about
of prey.
Oh, yes. Okay,
yeah.
yes.
There was a Romulan bird of prey docked there, and that made my heart happy because I had that model kit when I was a little kid until Timothy O'Leary down the street just told me that it could fly if I threw it hard enough and believed with all my heart. So,
you live next door to that famous acid head?
No, different guy. But yeah, anyway, that guy.
Right. Okay.
So, there are a lot of ships there, and there's a great vignette. I'm skipping all over the place. I know there's a lot of people that are like, follow the story, Lee, and I can't.
We can't.
No, there's a great bit of this kid. I'll pull up. I got his name right here. The kid playing Jack Crusher, Ed Spiliers.
Okay.
And he's got charisma in spades. This kid
really does.
He's cocky. He's got swagger. He could be Han Solo. Or he could be Jean-Luc Picard.
Ooh, yeah. I'd like to see that Han Solo.
But there's a great bit where he just kind of plops down on the captain's chair on the Titan at the museum. And Seven's like, up, out, and he just sits there. And then they start skipping through all the different ships. And he knows his ships. He's a ship fanboy. And I'm thinking, and they're hitting the themes to the different shows that the ships are from. And he knows his ships. And then they get to Voyager, and Seven has her bit about that's where she found her family, and I'm just like,
oh yeah. And Jerry Ryan, if you follow her on Twitter, she tweeted about that, and she goes, "Yeah, I cried again."
yeah. But the beauty, and Kerry had already mentioned it, the Bounty from Star Trek IV, the one with the whales, is there, and I'm not giving it any thought until Geordi says, well, Jean-Luc, the reason why your dumbass can't get away from Starfleet is because all of the ships are networked together, which makes sense. I can pull up my phone right here. I got this Google Pixel 6. I can pull this up and see everything that's in my house, all my devices. So why wouldn't Starfleet want to know where all of its devices are?
Well, and see, that gets back to our Battlestar Galactica that we were talking about.
Yes.
The Galactica was an old ship and not in the network, which is why the Cylons could never find it. It could find all the other Battlestars, but not this old one.
Exactly. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Thanks everybody for joining in here. We've got a full house watching the deep dive here on Picard. Does my positronic heart some good here. So an amazing thing, of course we jumped ahead of this, is Commodore Geordi LaForge is running the Starfleet Space Museum with his daughter, and just there's some great things. This whole season has been about parenthood to a certain degree and about regrets you have as a parent. I think it has a lot to do with, as you get older and you realize that there's more days behind you than there are ahead of you, the regrets that you may have along those signs. But so far, we've had Sydney LaForge, who's been played by Ashley Sharp Chestnut. She's been the pilot here on the Titan. But
and she's
today,
been great. She has been.
She has been. But you realize she's got problems with Daddy LaForge, with Papa LaForge here. And that's when we meet Alandra, who's also actually played by Micah Burton. That's LeVar Burton's actual daughter, and she's followed her dad in engineering.
She's there at the museum with Dad, helping to maybe keep these ships running.
Yeah. So we get
which was my high hope at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, there's some great bits. The daughters still get along great, but there's some friction definitely between Crash LaForge and her dad, and you get the feeling that maybe he didn't want her to go off and be a pilot, that he wanted her to be an engineer. And
and that becomes a whole scene, where you get to see that confrontation, and I thought it was handled beautifully.
Well, and the whole reason why they had to go to the Starfleet Ship Museum to get Geordi's help is because, lo and behold, this is actually a heist episode in between all the family dynamics. They take an away team and drop it off of Rafi, Bang Bang Will Riker,
and Samurai Worf.
Break into the Daystrom Institute, which we find out
it's like the room in Indiana Jones. It's the big room where all of the stuff is kept, all of the secret stuff.
This is Section 31's repository of things they shouldn't have. And what do they have, Kerry? What do they freaking have at Daystrom's?
So many things. I had to go back and freeze frame, and then I had to go to Star Trek news sites, not fan sites. I went to the official information to find out what they have.
Yeah.
And I saw the original M5 was there. The Genesis 2 device.
Right.
So immediately when I see Genesis 2 device, we're there looking for a weapon that is more deadly than that portal.
The Genesis 2.
Than that portal thing that we saw in the earlier episode. Oh, it's deadlier than that. Okay, well, it must be the Genesis 2, because that'll destroy a whole planet.
Nope.
All right, well, okay, we keep going down the hallways, and I'm giggling when I saw that they have Kirk's preserved body there.
Right.
Which means that they went to Viridian 3, dug him up, and brought him there.
He was just under a ladder. It wasn't hard to find him. It's like it was a ladder what killed him, Bones. So
yeah. And then there was a killer Tribble.
You'll get to see what they look like when they unwrap.
Yeah.
I get it now. I get it now.
So we got that. Also, the Borg Queen remains are there. The skull and the spinal column that we see, the non-fleshy parts of the Borg Queen are there.
There's a beautiful bit. They come around a corner, and Professor Moriarty from Next Gen is there, and it's played by the same actor. And I'm never going to complain again about. I have this thing about how American actors can't do British accents. The guy that played Moriarty is not British. He's from like Arkansas or something. So
really? Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's him. It's that actor, and he's Moriarty, and he's doing the whole thing. He's overacting. He's chewing scenery, and he's trying to. There's these pulses, kind of Space Odyssey stuff, pulsing around the ship, around the space station, and Riker starts having flashbacks to encounter at Farpoint, where he meets Data.
And we see on the security screen, we see, the face capture of, and it's like, these people are familiar,
Yeah.
And, we're jumping all over the place. But
because there's a super network running the Daystrom station, and they're like, oh, this is what we need to get to find out what the changeling stole. This is what we need to find, this super weapon that's more dangerous than anything else. And it starts hunting them. There's a holographic crow. There's a pulse tone that's playing, and of course Riker's a musician, so he's like he's shouting out the notes as they're happening.
That's a B flat. That's a bouncy C. That's a
And Moriarty's shooting at him with the gun and all this, and all of a sudden Riker remembers that Data can't whistle, and that when he met Data, he was trying to whistle Pop Goes the Weasel. And they cut to that first meeting when Data hears Riker whistling Pop Goes the Weasel and goes, magnificent. And so Riker finishes Pop Goes the Weasel, and the whole thing shuts down. Lo and behold, they find the thing at the center of the Institute, the super weapon, the network, all of that stuff. And it is
Data?
Old Data.
It's old Data.
It's old Data.
But it's Data's. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, if they were able to go and find Kirk's body. Certainly, they could go and find the remains of Data.
But they didn't. They found the next golem that the Sung guy that had built the Big Sung Institute, that had given Picard his golem body. He had taken B4 and lore and bits of Data's positronic network that had been downloaded, and all of this stuff, and combined them into a perfect positronic, almost as human as possible body. And so the Section 31 people had stolen this, and they'd been trying to combine all of these things together to get these guys, to get Data back to be like their super weapon, which is something Data never wanted to be. That's Measure of a Man. That's that whole episode, is about whether or not he's property. Here he is. He's property. He's been enslaved. He's been networked. And they break him loose. The Titan comes back because Jack Crusher and the Forge girls stole the cloaking device from the bounty.
And installed it using same dialogue that we've had from episodes where Scotty did it, and
yeah. Oh my gosh. And, of course, the LaForge kids and Jack Crusher, they're not engineers. Well, one of them is. She's a pretty good engineer, but she's not Commodore Geordie LaForge,
That's
who
right.
comes in and is like, get out of my way, kid, and stop looking at my daughter. Titan shows up, beams everybody off of the Daystrom Institute, except for Will Riker, who's like, hey, I gotta save everybody. So he's phasering the guys, and
I'll buy you time while you guys get away. And he
Yeah.
does, in fact, buy his time and gets captured by Amanda Plummer
yeah,
and our bad guys that we have there. But as we saw earlier, Amanda Plummer was saying, I need everything on this Jean-Luc Picard, all of his friends and their families.
I love she says Picard like Klingons say Patak.
Yeah,
Picard.
Picard. That's Amanda Plummer being crazy, and I love her for it. I need everything on all of these people, and they're legends, so of course their Wikipedia page, you go right to it.
Yeah.
You're gonna see that Riker is married and just had a kid, and yes, gonna kidnap your wife.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh! Oh my gosh! And
I'm
Will's
not
all
gonna.
beat up.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
like
gonna. I'm not going to torture you. No, I'm not going to do that. Your wife, on the other hand,
Yeah.
you're going to tell me everything.
One scene sums up the fanboy in all of us more than any other, and I see it in the comments section here too. When Captain Liam Shaw meets his hero, Geordie
Because he's
LaForge,
just a grease monkey from Chicago.
he's just and it is so great because he gets to really play that starstruck fanboy. This isn't one of those idiot cowboys that's crashing spaceships and violating the prime director. This is a god on a pedestal.
This is the guy. He's doing the real work.
He's doing the real work. He's obviously, these other guys, they're just idiot cowboys, six guns blazing left and right. Geordie, he's perfect. He's perfect. That reverence is what, and the payoff afterwards when Geordie's just like, this whole ship's held together with duct tape. And you've got 16 different problems that are going to make it explode at any minute. And I'd love to geek out at what a marvel of engineering it is with you, but right now we've got bigger issues. I wish when we met had met Shatner, we'd had at least 1/100th of that payoff.
That much.
And instead it was,
Instead it was, here.
you're not a pretty blonde. Move on. Like your hat, Carol.
Yeah. It was everything about the episode was just, again, I got all my spaceship porn. I got my Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. I got some reverence paid to past episodes. Every character was treated with proper. It's like, how long has it taken us to figure out how to do Star Trek?
Well, not only that, but how long? Okay, so we live in an era right now of nostalgia. This is the era of nostalgia. We use everything to build a shrine to the past. Star Wars Episode 9 was derailed by nostalgia. Right? It was like, we can't give characters dialogue because we need to bring back our favorite action figures or our favorite spaceships. We're so overruled by nostalgia that we forget sometimes that we can do that without being pandering. And that's what this episode did beautifully. And Vincent, thank you for pointing out the Season 3 drinking game. Once again, Chateau Picard slammed into the mud when Worf referred to it as sour mead. The undrinkable sour mead. This is a guy who likes his blood wine and prune juice, and he won't drink the Chateau Picard sour mead. So are we saying that the Picards have never had a good vintage, or are we saying that it's not been good since Jean-Luc took over from his brother?
I don't think that he's necessarily a vintner,
he's a Starfleet admiral. Oh, my gosh.
Although you could hire somebody, Jean-Luc, I don't know.
You could. I mean, you got a hot Romulan girlfriend. She could do it for you.
That's right.
Maybe Romulans don't do good wine either.
Maybe. Well, they're famous for their ales and not necessarily their wines.
Oh, Carrie, you're breaking up on us.
No, I'm plugged in. It's not me.
Jeez. Okay. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was the positronic network in my brain causing interference.
Maybe it's the two of us and our excitement about what is happening in this season.
The geek pulse wave that's gone out from us.
Exactly, because there's just so much going on in this, and
and 4 episodes left to tie it up.
Oh, man.
And I don't want it to go. The first season, I was like, okay, great. You're playing Next Gen's greatest hits. Congratulations on remembering. And now I'm like, oh, you guys, you're doing the Lord I don't believe in's work.
Yeah, and everybody is screaming for a spinoff. They don't want it to end. They know that this is the final season of Picard, but where can we take these possible characters? And it's funny how Shaw is just, the fans hated him and now are totally digging him.
I hate using the term masterclass, but it's a masterclass in character development.
Exactly. And the memes that are out there, what I love is the Shaw meme that is out there.
Yeah.
And that is where they will have a picture of Shaw sitting at the table eating and talking about past episodes of Star Trek and how crazy they were, you know?
Well, he's our first truly human Starfleet captain, right? Like, we watch him and we go, yeah, I get this. I'm not some cowboy. I maybe I would be more concerned about my crew than, you know, getting even with some entity or deity or, you know, Abraham Lincoln, whatever it is that came along that screwed everything up. Okay, let's hypothesize. We've got a few minutes. Let's hypothesize this. 4 episodes left. We've had our hit list. Is this the whole original crew? Pretty much, except for Yar.
I think we've got it. Yeah, we can't bring Yar back, I don't believe. I think that's pretty much everybody except for Barclay.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know if we want to go that far, do we?
Oh, Barclay, yes, I do. He's so good. I mean, still, Barclay's protomorphosis syndrome is still like my favorite episode.
I mean, we're making references to other Treks that are not Next Generation.
True.
I mean,
that bit with the bounty, Kerry. I mean, it's brilliant. It's like somebody just flat out said, "Hey, let's go through our greatest hits and somehow, without pandering, make it awesome and give that payoff." Right? Like, yeah, that the bounty's cloaking device has been sitting in a museum. So Lost Ark for ages. Vincent points out that a certain Cardassian tailor would be great.
That would be nice. Cameo. But actually, I like what Israel says in there. He says, "I didn't know how much I love Star Trek until now. Right. These episodes have reminded me of how much I am still in love with Star Trek." Amen.
Amen. It's like reading a really well-crafted love letter, right? Somebody who really loves Trek, but speaks a language we can understand. It's not homage, it's not recap, it's not reimagining. I mean, JJ's Star Trek was reimagining in so many ways, and it was great and it was glorious.
I mean, I love it, personally.
But this is such a just beautiful and caring homage to something brilliant and wonderful. And
So let me just put this out into the universe and see what happens. Maybe the great bird will grab it and make something of it. So we take, at the end of this season, we take this ship, we take the Titan, we rename it the Enterprise F. All right.
Oh, stop it, Kerry.
Keep me here. We keep Shaw on as captain, and 7 of 9 as first officer.
Okay.
Because they've got that dynamic. They go head to head, right?
They do.
And any of the other cast members that want to sign on and join up, talk to your agents and come along.
One of the best things, just period, in having a director in Jonathan Frakes, who's directed every version of Star Trek since Next Gen. He's been a director on everything. Because he's always at the lot, it's always easy to get a Riker cameo. That's why they get so much of him on Lower Decks, is because he's there. He might be directing that episode of Lower Decks for all you know.
He is. He did, actually. The crossover episode between Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks is his episode.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I mean, and he's directed every other live action everything and a couple of movies to boot. So yeah, you could have a way to tie Riker into it, get him out of retirement maybe.
Sure.
I want to see, because I was really hard on Voyager, super hard on Voyager.
So was I.
I would really like to see Kate Mulgrew back in the last episode. I would like to see Admiral Janeway, not just a name drop, but to see Admiral Janeway do something, whether it's retire somebody.
Anything. Yes, I'd love to see her. Now, our friend Michael Beck is in there, and he reminds us that the next episode is called Dominion.
Okay. Well, the Dominion War...
there's got to be some sort of Odo reference in there. I don't know how you do it.
They referenced him once. They showed a picture of him. Worf talked about a great honorable man within the great...
you could probably have a computer-generated, some sort of CG version of him, and you could even take the dialogue that he spoke in Deep Space Nine. He said so many words. You could, that's expensive, but you could do it that way. I'm just projecting here. I don't know, but you've got to be able. If it is in fact the Dominion, if it is in fact the Changelings are back, then you got to have Odo in there somehow.
Somewhere. And there's so many characters that they've been able to bring back and really give a good tribute or a good send-off to if they've needed to. It's a great way to wrap things up. Again, 4 more hours, and it's kind of glorious. Like, I don't see how they don't stick the landing. Famous last words, Lee. But there's so much greatness here, and I cannot love this or gush over it anymore. If I do, it's just going to come across really sloppy and heavy-handed. So
I know people have accused me of being paid by Paramount to be liking this much, and I'm like, no, you're not watching it. Clearly, go watch it and then get back to me.
And it's great too, because I don't think you have to be a fan of Next Gen or of any of that period of Star Trek to love this as much as we have been. Mm-hmm. But it sure doesn't hurt. It sure doesn't hurt at all.
Anything else before we go? Because I have a tip for people.
Okay. I am absolutely done, aside from saying, please like and subscribe so that we can keep on doing this here show of geek.
Here's a tip if you're a fan of Star Trek, and all of the Star Treks, there was a documentary series that the History Channel did a couple of years ago, about a year and a half, I want to say, called The Center Seat. And they only put the first 3 or 4 episodes on available if you have the History Channel at home. And then they said, if you want to watch the rest of this show, you got to subscribe to our History Channel app. You have to pay to see it. And I went, I'm not going to do that. And so I kept checking for, is the History Channel app ever going to give me a free month? Because I could just do a free month, jump in, watch that, get out. And they never did, right? It's now available. You do still have to pay for it, but if you have Amazon Prime TV, you can watch the entire series.
I do have Amazon Prime TV.
Then look it up. It's called The Center Seat. I think it's called 50 Years of Star Trek is the sub thing. Okay. Gates McFadden is the narrator, and what's great about it is it's warts and all. Yeah. Everything is addressed, like how Wesley left the show, how Crusher was gone for a year on Next Gen, all of the budgetary problems with the movies, and the problems with Shatner. It's all addressed. It's warts and all, but also a very fanboy approach to it. I just finished watching the episode where they said we finally got things figured out on Next Gen at about 3rd season in Yesterday's Enterprise. That was when we figured out the show.
Yesterday's Enterprise is so good.
And they talk about how that was written during the writer's strike. It was a by-committee thing. They wrote it over their Thanksgiving. You take the first act, I'll take the third act. And that's how it was done. And they get together, and it's 2 days before shooting Yesterday's Enterprise. They really still don't have a script. It's amazing that one happened at all.
And it's one of the most seminal episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah. I just got to the end of Next Generation. They ended on that note. They wanted to end with a poker game. And, Picard never attended the poker games until the last season, and they talked about how they went out, and now they're just getting into Deep Space Nine. So I'm very excited to see this. But it's called Center Seat. Yeah, 55 Years of Star Trek. Thank you, Brett. But it's on Amazon right now, and you can watch it. And I suggest you do. It's just terrific.
All right, folks, you have your homework. Make sure you have a 2-page paper written by the time we convene next week for Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 7, The Dominion. We'll see you then. The Dominion is the name of the episode. They're going to break me again.
I know.
I might as well just not call it Picard. Call it Break These Guys.
Breaking Trek. Instead of Breaking Bad, it's Breaking Trek.
We're just broken, gooey messes. This is how this is how the Skywalker saga should have ended, by the way. Anyway, not like verbatim, but with this level of... Anyway, enough.
I agree with you. You and I are the ones who like that Rian Johnson Star Wars and then dropped out.
It's all good. It's all good. Enough.
It's all right. It's okay.
We come here to praise Star Trek, not bury Star Wars.
Exactly.
Again, make sure you tune in next week. Like, subscribe. We love you. Thank you so much for supporting all of these endeavors and crazy ventures that we're taking. These treks to the stars. We couldn't do them without you. And we'll talk to you next week.